Prosecutors in Georgia say a man planned to kill his toddler son, planned to do so because he was unhappy with his marriage and wanted out of the family. That group delivered opening statements today at Justin Harris' murder trial. They say he intentionally left his 22-month-old son, Cooper, in a hot SUV to die because he was sick of being a father.
He was leading a double life. That he voiced numerous times in random things on an alcohol whisper. I miss being single. I'm at a breaking point.
I miss being single. I'm at a breaking point. And there he is with that son. It happened more than 2 years ago in Atlanta, and it was big news on this channel and beyond. While Cooper Harris was baking to death in the hot SUV, we now know that investigators say Harris was actually sexting with women and at least one underage girl. Defense lawyers have not yet delivered their opening statements, but attorneys say this was just a tragic accident. They say Justin Harris, the father, forgot that the son was in the car, and the sexting had nothing to do with any of it. The jury make up 7 women and 5 men. They include a mechanic, a nutritionist, and a grandmother. We don't know how many of them have kids, but a judge moved the trial itself from Atlanta to Brunswick, Georgia, on the other side of the state because of all the media attention. Ashley Merchant joins us now from Atlanta. She's a criminal defense attorney and has been closely following this case. You watched openings today from the prosecution. Summarize, if you could.
Yes, I did. I definitely watched openings, and I can tell you that about 90% of the openings from the state were trying to paint Ross Harris as a bad person. Their whole theory is to try and prove that he had motive to want his son Cooper dead, and that motive was that he wanted this other life. He wanted his son out of the picture. He wanted all these other women, and that he was essentially leading this other life. And we heard the term deceptive a lot. The state kept arguing he was deceptive in his marriage. He was deceptive with the police. He was deceptive in his family life. Deceptive. You just kept hearing that. And the picture that it painted was that anything that comes out of the defense table or the defense side of the room can't be believed, because his whole goal in life was to deceive people and to lead this double life. And I think that theme is going to carry out throughout this trial, because we're going to hear from folks who are sexting with Ross Harris. We're going to hear, we just had a ruling earlier today, the judge agreed to let in the state's evidence of a prostitute who says that she was with Ross Harris about 2 weeks before this. And so the judge just ruled this morning that that's actually going to be admissible as well. So we're going to hear all of this damaging evidence that really doesn't have anything to do with whether or not he wanted his son dead, but the state is going to argue that it all shows that he didn't want to be living the life that he was living.
And did this sexting with an underage girl come up today in openings?
Yes, sexting with the underage girl, that was relevant, and that was ruled relevant by the judge, and so they were able to argue that during opening statements. They talked about all the different apps that he was on. He was on the Kick app talking with some folks, talking with an underage girl. He was on a couple different chat rooms where he was talking, sexting. Evidence came out that they talked about the evidence of him snapping pictures of his genitals and sending them to girls, them sending him pictures at the same time, and a lot of this was happening while Cooper was dying. And so that's going to be that's the first image that this jury really hears about this case. And so the defense now has to get up and try and put a different image in their head. Was there any suggestion that he chose this hot car as the place for his son to die for a particular reason under their theory? You know, there wasn't anything that there was a specific reason that he chose this car, that there was some linkage. What they focused on was that he wanted a life without his child. He wanted a child-free life. He wanted a different lifestyle. He wanted to be free. And they actually, what was very powerful is they blew up a lot of his quotes, his texts. So they took things that he had texted to other females, they took things that he had put up in social media chat rooms, and they blew those up on posters, and they actually stuck those up in front of the jury. And so the jury has those images in their head, and that's very powerful. And those are his own words, and they're going to use his own words to try and show motive. So jurors will have to believe, to buy the prosecution's case, that not only did this man want his son dead so that he could get out of this marriage and this family relationship, but that they realized, that he had to have realized that all of these texts and sex and all the rest of it would come into play, and that he went ahead with this plan even knowing that all of that would be part of the record. Right, and I think that that's what we're going to hear, Shep, when we hear from the defense. I think we're going to hear that that's not possible. That doesn't make any sense. Whether or not he wanted out of his marriage and whether or not he wanted a child-free life, that doesn't mean, you can't make that leap that that means he wanted to kill his son in such an excruciating agony sort of way, because he worked at Home Depot. He was very tech savvy. He worked in their IT department. So, you know, it's a good defense argument to say he would have known that if he murdered his son, he was going to be the prime suspect and they were going to go and look at his computer. So if he really planned this out, wouldn't he have been smarter than to be doing this while his son was dying?
You know, it's all very good questions. This is going to go on for a while. We'll follow it and update you daily. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.